Hello once again. Thank you for visiting. We are going to repair some seashell glass ornaments that I had there in my studio for quite a while. So this is a stained glass that I did, and eventually it came detached. Some of the foil peeled off or lost its stackness, and so I thought it would be good time to show how I repair those pieces that I had created previously. So I'm gonna use some foil tape, and then I am going to use some flux and flux remover, and the flux will help the lead to actually flow to so it can actually stay on the copper tape and on the with the solder. So I left this recording as a full time, completely, real time. So I will have the shorter versions for you to visit if you want. I am using a steel wolf. This is a whole bunch of metal fiber, and I'm using it to remove all the debris and crustiness that it has been built with the metal and the lead. And it takes a little bit of elbow grease. There is a lot of scrubbing, so don't do this if you just have your nails done, because it is pretty rough on the hands. Please use the safety mask and do not breathe this thing. What I do is, after you will see the debris on the table falling off because it disintegrates. You don't want those things, tiny little fibers of metal. Look at that. That's the little leftovers of the fiber. You don't want them on your lungs. So I always use a wet paper napkin, cloth, paper towel, and wipe that off and dispose properly. So right now what you're seeing is a lot of elbow grease, and I'm checking for tackness, making sure that the tape that is still there with the solder is firm and it's not gonna come out. Now, when you are soldering the copper foil style, the Tiffany style, which they used to have the Victorian and the Victorian era, all those lamp pieces, they were wrapped individually. So it is an incredible amount of work, and then you have to be careful soldering, because if you leave the soldering gun too long on the tape, it will peel off. So that's what you're trying to prevent. I'm removing the tape that is no longer good, and I just keep scrubbing on the following piece. This piece looks darker than the silver one, as it has a black patina, and we will be using a black patina. You're gonna see me using the black patina, and there is all kinds of patinas. I kind of like it. I favor it instead of just the plain silver. I don't know, it's just I think it's pretty. But you can leave your stainless pieces as you prefer the most. You can see on the table already the little fibers of metal start disintegrating. You don't want a fan or anything on, because it will get on your eyes. So please use safety goggles, and then your breathing mask, and trying to use as much caution as you can. There is a lot of time consuming in this, so I will be speeding up some of the timing in here, so we can get to the next step. Wet towel and removing all that metal debris, and I keep scrubbing. The patina is well on the lead, so it takes a lot of scrubbing, and at the same time I'm testing if the tape is coming out. If it is coming out even a little bit, you have to remove it. You have to take it off and repair it with a brand new piece. So it's gonna take a lot of elbow grease, and just careful with your piece so nothing else comes apart, and that is pretty much the main process of this. There is a lot of time consuming on this part, even though that I accelerated the time. Even though that I storage these ornaments in a closed box, it does create, because of the chemical reaction, a little white powder. You will see some of your old stained glass pieces that they may have that white powder. If you're trying to do a repair or resoldering or adding a new piece, you need to remove all that debris so the solder itself can make a good contact. That's the copper foil, and I'm measuring the small piece. You don't need to be wasteful on that. And the main important thing in this step is not to touch the tacky sides. So one side is just like a regular double tape. Tape is actually one side tape, but you peel that cover, and once it is separated, the copper foil is you see that black area, that's it has some glue, some adhesive tacky stuff, and you don't want the oil of your hands to touch it, because then it will not make any contact. So please keep your hands away from that, and you just softly, without touching the other side, adhere it to your surface. The seashell is already being cleaned, and you just fold half to one side and the other half to the other side. If you will be doing, that's a burnishing stick, and it's actually a piece of the cloth pin. I just split it and I used it, and the wood is hard, and it works great for this particular project. So this seashell is a scallop, so I'm trying to make sure that the copper foil goes in the ridges, so there is no gaps, there is no air in there. The dust might be able to get in, or the solder when I'm soldering, or the flux. So you want to make sure that there is going to be a good contact with the thing that you are going to be letting. If it was glass, it will be doing the same thing with the glass, which we will be doing another project with the glass, so you can see it more in detail. But you go both sides, so I'm going and burnishing in both sides very, very hard, first on the scallop ridges, and then on the corners, because the seashell is organic, so that's its own beauty. Every seashell is unique, so there is no set pattern that you need to do, but see a few steps, making sure that you never touch the copper foil on the tacky side so it can make a good contact. Put it 1/2 even in one side and then wrap it over, and then just go with the burnishing stick. I'm measuring the seashell to the stained glass wings, and it will give me an idea what are the tack spots. So it will be 4 spots, 2 in the shoulders and 2 on the dress area, the wider part of the seashell. You need to stretch your lead so you don't burn it, don't have it coil. It usually comes in a roll. So I'm using the cheapest brush that I'm going to be using, the Flux. The Flux is your friend. You need Flux to be able to have the lead flow evenly. Now the garage is I'm working in the garage and it is cold right now, so this is a regulator, temperature regulator, which my soldering pen or tool is plugged in there, and I normally put it at 50, 55 or 60 between that, but when it gets cold I have to put a little bit hotter. You will have to just test it. The solder has to flow, so it cannot be stiff, because that it will give you some texture, which if you are looking for texture, that will be fine, but otherwise it should be able to flow evenly, so without seams, and then you get a nice ladder soldering stream. So it's warming up. There is a sponge on my rest base in there, and I keep it wet so I can clean the tip of the soldering pencil. So I'm gonna be pouring some Flux on the container and trying to put it halfway, see how the room temperature is affecting the soldering tool, and then adjust it from there. So I will do first the angel, the seashell angel that doesn't have any flux, that it only had the silver exposed and a lead, and then you can see the tips of my pen, my soldering pen. One is so worn out, it's useless now, but I still use it. I still use it for some projects. So anyways, but you can replace those. You need to purchase them if they are already worn out. I'm putting water on my sponge now, and that sponge rests on that base that I got there. This base is really old. I mean, if you buy one, it's probably you will never need another one. It will just outlive you, most likely. And so I keep everything clear, making sure that there is a space for everything to work. Now when you are working with the solder, don't touch any beads because they will burn through the skin. So you have to be careful that you have an apron, that you have the proper glasses on, eyeglasses, and always use caution. Never actually the object, this little piece, it has the head bead and then the glass wings, it will get hot. So that's what I stretch my solder. So I already put solder, Flux in there, and it's still cold. You see, it's not even melting the tip of that lead. So I have to add more, 1/2, I think 1/2 number more, and higher, so to see how it's gonna be reacting. It has a lot to do with your room temperature. If you live in a warm climate, it might heat faster, but you can see it's been at 60 right now and it's still cold. It just happens to be cold today, so which affects the lead. So it's coming down, but it's still stiff. You see how stiff it is? That will create, it will solder, but it will create some texture in there. So you need the Flux to be able to get a smooth seams. And I'm just doing the tack points where I know the seashell is touching the glass. I am putting a little bit of solder in the tip of my soldering pen, and then I'm I want to test it still, which it seems to be working now. You wipe it on the sponge, and then that way you get a clean tip on your pencil all the time, so it's not built up and ugly, which makes it hard for you to work later on future projects. So you see in there is an expose of copper, so I need to cover that first before putting the seashell in there. So all that copper needs to be even, and you want to make sure that you observe the piece that you are repairing, and making sure that it will be unison with the rest of the soldered area. So placing the seashell, I know there is 4 points that it is touching, and I'm gonna tack those points first. Plenty of flux in there, and of course we will have to wipe that off eventually, or it will rust your piece. So flux, you need to clean your tools once that you use them, because it will ruin your tools. So want to make sure that you clean after you're done. So I'm just putting 4 points in there, tiny little beads in there, so it won't move, and then I will go over it again with more flux and start soldering to have a more permanent piece. So the flux will help you to have the lead run smooth without lifting up and trying to run away from you in tiny little beads, and those beads are very dangerous, so they will roll on your table. Make sure that your table is flat, that the surface that you are working on is flat. Don't try to trap them, to touch them or anything. Just let them run, and they will cool off eventually, and then dispose them properly. Don't get none of your pets to get a hold of them, because they will die. It's this lead. If you see in that wing there is a little lump in there, I'm not too concerned right now, because when you solder in both sides, that way it will give them more stability to the piece, and it will last pretty much a lifetime. If you solder well, making sure that that you don't put the pen too long on the tape. If you leave it too long on that tape, it will warm up the adhesive, and it will peel off, and then you will have to go through the same process of peeling and scrubbing and putting a new piece of tape. So I'm doing one side first, and then I will turn the seashell angel from the other side, and then I will go ahead and do the other side as well. There is a few little beads in there, and I'm using that extra solder to just spread around with the help of the flux. This wouldn't be possible if I wouldn't have enough flux. So I use the flux to be able to create, it just makes your job a lot easier than trying to bottle the item without flux. It just doesn't make sense. What I'm doing, I'm trapping the beads in the tip of my soldering pen, and then I'm wiping them on the wet sponge. so that way they're out of the way and not rolling around the table. If you see, I'm holding the piece from the edge because it is hot. It does get warm. Now, some glass, this glass is pretty thick for the wings that I have on the angels, but some glass is very thin, like some brands is very thin glass, and if you leave the tip in there too long, it will crack, it will shatter. So just want to make sure that when you do your soldering, you're doing it as quick as possible. Tinting the seashell copper. You see the tape in there, and I had flux in there, and then now I'm just passing the lead in there with just tiny little amount in there. You don't need that much because you just want to create a surface that is going to attach to your soldering, and that is for looks. In the back of the seashell, you just want to make sure that it is all even when you put the patina in there, so it doesn't need much of this soldering. Okay, now the body is going to be soldered to the wings the same way that the first piece was done. And remember, it looks dark because it has patina. So let's see if it's going to be attached. So I'm putting the flux again on the 4 points where I know it touches, and I'm going to tack them first. Just tiny little touch of lead in there. It is no it's no attaching. I did not remove enough patina for the solder to and lead to be working together and adhering again. So you see it's all over, just on the top of the surface. It's not making any contact. So I'm gonna try it once again, but I think I'm gonna have to wipe everything out and start scrubbing with the steel wool again. No, it's rolling. You see that bit rolling is not tack, it's not being adhered. So nope, it's not gonna work. Doesn't matter how much flux I will use at this point, that patina has to be removed. So more elbow grease, more scrubbing needs to be done. So yeah, it's just on the surface and it will detach. You see, if you get a piece, let's say in a garage sale, and you like it and said, oh, okay, I'm gonna do some repair, and you are not aware of the patina that it has, and you're trying to do it at home, you think that it's not working and it is impossible to repair that piece. You actually have the option to I mean, you don't have much option to just to remove the patina, and you can do that. I already show you how to use the steel wool, and you just have to scrub, and it will become the silver color. It has to show, because that way, once that you start seeing the silver lead in there, you know that you're going to have a good contact with the flux. Right now it's still dark, so there is still some patina residue in there, and you saw how those little beads of lead were bouncing around. So it's a little bit hard to get into the neck, so you pretty much have to see how you can get as far as you can with the steel wolf. And I think I rolled it a little bit on the tip, and then just keep scrubbing. I use the a new piece, and then I wrap the old piece in between just to keep using it as much as I can. So this is just my way to, you know, work with the piece and the supplies that I have. I am not going to scrub the entire thing. I just need to be able to repair it from the tackle areas that it's going to be soldered in. So, but it does take time. See, the silver is already showing, so which I am very happy. Okay, so I believe I removed most of the flux now. It looks silvery, the lead is just exposed, the solder areas are clean, and now I need to wipe with the wet paper towel all that metal debris that is coming out from the steel wool. And let's try it again. And again, I need to flux the piece and making sure that the lead is adhering this time. bottle of flux, put a little bit in there because it's a small piece, so I'm not gonna need a lot of them. Making sure I will point on those 4 areas where the seashell is touching the glass. I want to do a small tack in there first, and then I'll solder the piece. Stretch your lead. It's cold again. You see the solder is not, it's not flowing, so it's a little bit cold because the room is cold. But it flowed. See, now this time it's not bouncing like with tiny little beads, it's actually a stain on the piece. All thanks to the good scrubbing. So once there is tackle on the 4 areas and the 4 points, I add more flux, I stretch the soldering roll in there, and start filling up the gaps. And remember, we have to do the front and the back of the piece. It's a tiny little lump in there, and what I'm going to do is just put more flux and then just pass the tip of the soldering pen. Now the tip that I'm using is really small. I don't recall the size, but it just screws on. Make sure that your pen, your soldering pen, is unplugged and it is cold, because it burns, and those are serious burns that you can get. So always use caution, protective goggles, and then your mask when you are, using that steel wool for polishing something. So it's always a good idea to have a safety gear when you're working on this type of projects. If the lead doesn't want to flow, I try to use the flux first. But I know the room is cold, so that's what is causing me a little bit of trouble on the soldering. Now I'm going to use that excess of lead there is in there, the soldering leftovers, and I'm not going to add more solder. I think I'm just going to just spread that around. And for that I need the flux, so that's what I put a little bit of flux on the tips to help it flow and make it smooth. See, that bead is not touching the area that I didn't remove the patina. I'm not touching the piece because it is hot again. Make sure that you don't touch your pieces, especially if it is small. So grabbing it from the head and checking that it's solid. See, I'm not putting more soldering in there. It's just the leftover, the excess that is in there. So trying to make it smooth with the help of the flux. and the soldering part is done. Now we go back again into wiping the piece carefully so the tape doesn't come off. Remember, now this piece has the flux chemical, so we need to remove all that flux because it will rust the stuff. It will rust if you use pliers, if you use any. So I'm using the flux remover, and it pretty much neutralizes the chemical reaction that it's having with the lead. And all this is going around the edges, and it's in the two pieces that I repair, trying to remove as much as I can. And then remember that the foil around the seashell, to be careful with it so it doesn't peel off. It shouldn't peel off now because it has a coating of the solder, so but still always be cautious. Now I'm going around the neck, which is the fragile area, even though it has plenty of extra solder in there, but on the little crevice around the neck, both sides, I use a little bit of caution. But it has the flux remover. It's like a soapy liquid, and it, like I said, it neutralizes the chemical reaction, so that way it doesn't turn it oxidizes. So you want your piece to be finished. After I'm done with this, I'm gonna apply the finishing compound, which first I'm gonna use the patina. Remember that I want them a little bit darker. That's my preference, my personal choice. You can leave them all silver, and then you just apply the finishing compound, or use any patina of colors. There are so many patinas that you can use, varieties of them. I personally like the black one, and I apply the patina with a different brush. It's a little bit softer brush. Again, it's just an economic brush. And then I wipe the patina, polish it, and do the finishing compound, which brings them a little shimmery, very professional looking, and my personal personal opinion. So, but again, there is a lot of wiping, a lot of scrubbing, I mean, I can do this and cleaning my house, but it's not as fun as doing this stained glass. So this is the soft brush. The little bristles are soft, and there's a black patina. And what you do is just grab a little bit on the top, or you can pour it. But these ornaments are small, so I'm not be using. I mean, one tiny little quantity, a small quantity amount goes a long way. So I'm not gonna be needing much. You will see it flows really richly, and it covers a vast surface. So I'm just, brushing it around the edge again of the solder, and you will see it turning on the color of the patina of your choice. This time, I'm using black one, so it's dark, but it gives them like a bronze effect with the light hits them. So I like that on it. So it goes all around the edges, and I'm trying to make sure that that everything is covered, so it looks finished. It looks nice and even. And like I said, you can leave it silver if that's the look that you are going after, or change any color of patina that you want. You just get this in glass supply stores, and you can experiment. There is no wrong or right way to do this. It's just how you like the piece and how you pretty much attract to the finishing effect for your piece. These seashells were collected in one area in La Baja, Mexico. So they're one of a kind. I collected few, and I was thinking, okay, what else I can do with this? And I started doing the mixed media, and I came up with this little pattern in here, so which I think is quite adorable, and they make beautiful gifts. So don't be shy, don't be afraid. Start working on the projects. And the glass that I use for the wings, they're just leftover glass from larger projects that I have done. And the nuggets, there is always nuggets around that I collect, so you can do any colors, combinations, patterns, and the imagination is yours. And they look just so cute on the Christmas tree, or just as sun catchers. So after the patina is applied, I get a white clean cloth and I start wiping that out carefully from the edges. Remember, the only thing that is holding is a tape adhesive and a special tape adhesive, and then the lead. I mean the soldering lead in there, and that's pretty much it. So be gentle with the piece, and it's as sturdy, is firm, because I went on the front and then I soldered it in the back area, so it's pretty solid in that aspect, but it will crack if you pull it off. So be careful wiping them off, and then once all the patina is being wiped out, I'm trying to remove those beads in there from the table, because if they get under your glass, it can crack. It can create some pressure. Not on this case because these pieces are small, but in large panels and vitrals, window panels and stuff like that for stained glass. If you lay your stained glass on top of those soldered beads, with the pressure will crack. So I'm still getting the residue of the patina, making sure that nothing else is staying there before putting the finishing compound. You see I got a new paper towel and just wiping the tiny little corners and just going around. Finishing compound, and it is for stained glass, and it will give a nice gloss to the lead. It's kind of creamy. You just pour a little bit. I pour a little bit on my paper towel, and then just I go around the edges, which I just solder, and put the patina on, and now it's the finishing compound, the wire, the little halo area, so it gives them a nice finish. You rub that in and then polish again. So you see there is a lot of wiping and scrubbing and wiping. There is a lot of elbow grease on the stained glass piece, at least in this particular one. This particular design has two sides on the wing. I'll create the video and how we put this together, how I put this together, and But you can cut one piece for the wing and just solder the entire area to the back of the seashell. The reason that I chose two pieces is because it was made from the leftover glass that I had, and most of the pieces of those glass pieces were they're small. They were small, so I kind of measure as a general size what will be the most convenient shape of the wing to be, so I can use most of that leftover glass, and that's what it ended up with, two pieces in the back. But yeah, certainly you can go ahead and have one single piece as the wing, so put a heart in there. So there's many ways, and customize at your preference. So once that everything is rubbed off from the polish, actually the compound is removed and polished, you will see the finish with the light. It is just gives them a nice shine. I hope this video had helped you and give you an ideas. If you find a piece that is broken and needs some repair, especially in the Tiffany style, the copper foil method, you know how to now you know how, or have an idea how to repair it, and keep enjoying the time crafting and creating beautiful things. Please write in your comments if you have any questions, suggestions, or tell me if you tried a different method, and I will be glad to hear from it. Also, if you like this recording, please subscribe, support us, and then I will go ahead and thank all of the people who has done that, and give us a thumb up, and share it with people that you think that will be interested in on this particular process. I had left this video long enough with minimum cuts, so you can see the entire process. Yes, it is time consuming, but it is well worth it. I love stained glass. It has been one of my passions since childhood, and think it's beautiful, and I would like to see more new generations to work on this particular medium. Here they are now. You can see it in a white background, and they are ready to be decorated with tiny little ribbon and be hung. Thank you for watching.